Have you ever asked ChatGPT something and got a response that made you go, what is this nonsense? Maybe it was vague, unhelpful, or straight up wrong. Well, guess what? The problem isn't actually ChatGPT, it's how you prompt it. But don't worry, fixing this is actually easier than you think, because today I'm going to show you how to craft the perfect ChatGPT prompt to get the best responses every single time, inshallah. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to write prompts that make ChatGPT your personal content creator, brainstorm buddy, and even your fitness coach if you want. So let's dive right in. The first thing you need to know is that a great prompt isn't random. It actually follows a formula, and this formula consists of several elements. It consists of one mandatory element, two important elements, and three nice to have elements. This is what actually a good prompt consists of. So let's break it down. The first thing is the mandatory element, which is the actual task. Okay, so think of this as the heart of your prompt, as without it there is no prompt at all. And it actually all starts with one thing: a clear action verb. So you need to tell ChatGPT whether you wanted to write something, summarize, analyze, generate, whatever, like an actual verb, a clear action verb. The more specific you are, of course, the better the response. So an example of what a bad prompt could be is something very generic: tell me about fitness. However, what would improve it a lot is write a 300-word beginner's guide on how to gain muscle effectively. You see, the second one works better because it's clear, structured, and gives purposes. So this is the task. Now we're gonna move on to the less important but still very essential elements of the prompt. The first one of it is the context. So this is where most people actually mess up. They either give too little information, which ChatGPT spits out something very generic, or they give too much information and the AI gets overwhelmed and confused. So the perfect balance is to give just enough context to get a tailored answer. What I mean by that is to ask yourself these three simple questions. Who is the actual user? Okay, so who's the one who will benefit from this prompt? Is he a beginner? Is he an expert? Does he need something specific? What does success look like for this specific user? Okay, so if we enter a clear end goal, it will make things much easier. And lastly, what are the limitations? So times, tools, constraints, and so on. So again, an example of a bad prompt would be, I want to gain muscle. This could be a context, when following the theme of, fitness and gaining muscle and so on. So the way to improve this is to give the right context. So by looking at these three questions, we see that writing this, I'm a 70 kilogram male, so that's the user, looking to gain 5 kilograms of muscle, okay, in 3 months. So this is the second answer, the success, what success looks like. And then I can go to the gym twice a week for 1 hour. The workout plan should use bodyweight exercises only. So, and this is what answers the limitations. Now ChatGPT has just the right context to actually give you the output that you want. Again, moving on to the third element now, which is the second important element, exemplars. Okay, if you want ChatGPT to actually follow a certain structure, just give it an example of what this actually looks like to give you something similar to it, if that makes sense. So this actually could be a framework, like a STAR framework, AIDA, whatever, or maybe it's a previous ChatGPT response that you liked. You can refer back to it. It could be a real-world example. You could refer to, I don't know, you can give it the link to another article or something that you wanna make something similar to. So an example of what this looks like is you can say something like, use the STAR framework, which is, by the way, situation, task, action, result, to outline a fitness plan for gaining muscle with limited gym time. So this is the application of using the exemplars element in your prompt. Now you get a well-organized and high-quality response. So now we've actually gone through the mandatory element, which is the task, the important elements. Now we have some nice-to-have elements, which aren't as essential, but it would actually improve the quality of the output by a lot. So here we have the first one, which is the persona. So you can actually tell ChatGPT who you want it to be. Okay, this is very important. So you can tell it, okay, I want you to think like a university professor. I want you to think like a very experienced business consultant. I want you to become a top-tier personal trainer. So when you give it a persona, it understands how to act and how to actually give you what you want. So an example of this would be you are a personal trainer with 20 plus years of experience in fitness and bodybuilding. So if you add this sentence to the above prompts that we have been building, it would help things a lot, because now the AI thinks like an expert instead of giving generic advice. The next nice to have element is the format. So if you've ever got a response that was just one huge block of text, you can easily fix this by telling ChatGPT exactly how to format its answer. So you can tell it to make it into a bullet points format, or put it into tables, provide a step-by-step guide, and so on. An example of what a bad prompt could be is compare different dieting methods. Okay, it's very generic. Again, it wouldn't give you the result that you're looking for. However, if you actually write this, create a table comparing intermittent fasting versus calorie counting for muscle gain, include pros, cons, and best use cases in 3 separate columns. You see, now it will give you the format that you're looking for, which you can just refer back to later whenever you need. And the last nice to have element is the actual tone. This is very relevant in some cases. So if in case you want the response to be something very formal, if you want it to be something funny and joking in a joking manner, if you want it to be engaging, tone changes a lot of things. So again, what an example for this would be to write something like explain weightlifting to a beginner in a fun and engaging way. Use simple analogies and an enthusiastic tone. You see? So now, when you tell it the tone, it will actually provide you the answer that you are looking for, inshallah. So to summarize what we've spoken about so far, we have 6 elements to craft the perfect ChatGPT prompt, and I'd love for you guys to go try it out. So remember, start with a clear task, clear action verb, provide just enough context by answering the 3 questions that we mentioned before, use exemplars for structure, refer to something that you want it to be similar to, assign a persona by telling it who you want it to be, define the format of the output itself in a way that you want it, in form of paragraphs, bullet points, whatever, and choose the tone of the actual output of the ChatGPT. And by doing this, by mastering these 6 elements, inshallah, you will never get a bad AI response again. Now go test it out and let me know what you discover. Happy prompting, and assalamu alaikum.